Today on Carolina News, thunderstorms are expected to rip through the Midlands. We'll tell you when you should prepare for those storms. Plus, living testimonies. A proposed bill could outlaw abortion in South Carolina. We have some of the passionate testimonies from today's hearing. And blazing debate. Both sides of the heated medical marijuana debate voiced their opinions on the proposed bill last night.
Marijuana killed my soul, plus ruined my brain.
All of that and more on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello and good afternoon. I'm Jada Williams.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Solomon.
Storms have rolled into the Midlands, drenching the capital city. But how long will these rains last? For more on the downpours, let's take it to our weather reporter, Eric Cirillo.
That is right, Jada. It is pouring down rain right now. You know, it was sunny earlier in the day, but those clouds moved in fast and they have completely taken over. And currently we're on a thunderstorm watch. If you take a look behind me, you can see the areas in red. That's a severe thunderstorm watch. Now, we aren't under that currently, but like I said, they are moving quickly and will be in our area tonight and into the morning. Currently, there's a flash flood warning going on for the Midlands area up until 5 tonight. Later on the show, I'll have your complete forecast along with the most up-to-date information on where those storms are and where they're headed. Jada, Brian, back to you.
More than a dozen people are dead after a truck collided with a church bus in Texas. Officials say that a pickup truck swerved into oncoming traffic on Wednesday afternoon, hitting a church bus with 13 people head-on. The victims include the driver and the passengers of the bus, but they have not yet been identified. The clash happened just over 70 miles west of San Antonio.
One Sumter man is behind bars this evening after deputies say he lit his girlfriend on fire. This man, Roy Billy Hulan, is being charged with attempted murder and aggravated domestic violence. His girlfriend was flown to the Augusta Burn Center with severe burns on her body. Despite the injuries, she is still alert and talked to the authorities.
Well, just moments ago, Republican leaders in the North Carolina General Assembly voted to repeal the bathroom law HB 2. House Speaker Tim Moore and Senate Leader Phil Berger announced they had reached a compromise with Governor Roy Cooper Wednesday night, in which the agreement would end HB 2. The state of North Carolina lost NCAA championship events this year because of the law and would not be able to host any other NCAA championship events through 2022 if the law was not repealed by today. Governor Cooper is expected to sign the repeal into law soon. The new compromise entails repealing HB 2, letting the state-controlled bathroom policies, local governments can pass non-discrimination ordinances, and there will be a conscience protection provision allowing people to sue if they feel the government is violating their rights.
A federal judge has extended a longer-term halt on President Donald Trump's travel ban executive order. Judge Derek Watson of Hawaii granted the state's request to extend the halt on Wednesday. This ruling puts a halt on President Trump's revised travel ban that would temporarily halt travel from 6 Muslim-majority countries. It would also halt all refugees for 120 days. Watson says he gave his verdict because it discriminates on religion.
An anti-abortion bill was argued at the State House this morning, and it brought many people with different stories and different views. Nicole Lopes was there and is now in the newsroom with a local reaction from people who support and oppose the bill. Nicole?
Bill 217 is making its way through the State House, and supporters of both sides came out to make their voice heard. This bill says that the embryo is considered human at conception, giving it full rights. If this bill were passed, abortion would no longer be legal in the state. This bill is Republican favored and says the Personhood Act is to establish the right to life for each born and preborn human being. Many people came out to show their support.
So my position is that since a person is a person starting from conception, they should be given the protection of our laws starting from the moment when they became a person.
And opposition.
We have the unborn. We have a potential for life, but we don't have a person. And so I feel strongly for the structure of our society and probably my personal beliefs that that is not a person at that point, but just the potential for life.
A lot of emotions filled the room as people shared what the outcome of the bill would mean to them.
Parents need to continue to be able to make these heartbreaking and immensely difficult choices and allow women like me to make their own medical decisions. Thank you.
Speakers are eager to see where the bill will go next and hope a decision is reached soon. Close to 40 people came out to speak to legislators, but there was not enough time to hear them all. According to the State House, they will meet at a later date that will be announced by the end of the week. Back to you in the studio.
South Carolina Senator John Corson was freed on bail yesterday after being indicted earlier this month. Corson was accused of misconduct in office and using campaign funds for himself. He was released yesterday on a $16,000 bond. Corson's attorney said there was nothing improper about her client's actions, calling the money legitimate campaign expenditures. She also petitioned the court for a speedy trial in order to clear the senator's name. Until the case is resolved, Corson is suspended from the seat he has held for 33 years.
Across the Atlantic, another politician is also facing a judge today. Former South Korean President Park Geun-hye is in court facing jail time in Seoul. Park was impeached earlier this month on charges of bribery and abuse of power. The corruption scandal involves one of Park's longtime friends and members of Samsung. According to some international outlets, an arrest warrant has been issued for Park this afternoon on the grounds that she could destroy evidence.
The Gamecock men's basketball win last Sunday sent waves of people to flood the streets of 5 Points and go for a swim in the Thomas Cooper Fountain in celebration. Our Parker King investigated what preparations are being made in case of a win on Saturday.
Sunday's Elite Eight win over the Florida Gators sent crowds of fans storming the streets of Columbia in celebration. Matthew Thomas, a senior at the University of South Carolina, says it was unlike anything he has seen before.
We hit the door and we're out on the street running to Hardin Street. We were on Divine Street running to Hardin Street, and as soon as we hit that main stretch of 5 Points, it was just pandemonium, basically.
When the buzzers sounded, hundreds flooded the streets of 5 Points, leading police to block off streets.
So many people were already out there on the street, running in the streets.
Fans rallied around this fountain in 5 Points, many jumping in. The same victory swim happened here at the Thomas Cooper Fountain on campus, where hundreds of students took a dip in celebration. After the mass celebrations following the win against Florida, safety has become a concern for Saturday's Final Four match. Jeffrey Stenslin, the director of public relations at USC, said in a statement, "The safety of our students is always our top concern. University staff, including officers from the Division of Law Enforcement and Safety, will be present before and after the games. Additionally, we will collaborate closely throughout the weekend with the city, CPD, and other public safety agencies." Columbia Police Captain Christopher Roberts says, "They're here to support a good time, but
we are prepared, and you know there are boundaries that we have to certainly enforce of the law."
Roberts says they have contingency plans in place to handle traffic and will have more officers patrolling. Thomas says he understands the concern for safety, but hopes they get the chance to celebrate again.
I'll probably go and watch in 5 Points with some of my friends, and I hope that we have the same outcome. I hope we get to celebrate again.
But police want everyone to celebrate responsibly. Parker King, Carolina News.
The game is set for Saturday at 6 p.m., and officers are expecting large crowds on campus and throughout 5 Points, no matter the outcome.
The South Carolina Supreme Court overturned an existing law yesterday that limited the amount of liquor license one company can have in South Carolina. Carolina News reporter Allison McHugh took a look at how this may affect big and small liquor stores around the Midlands.
This is one of my favorites. It's kind of dusty.
A favorite you don't see every day.
So it comes in a package like that. And then, voila.
A sword full of Armenian brandy, a gem found at Nick Kazar's local ABC store. While this is his only location, he has seen a loss in business since new retailers rolled in.
Recently, bottles opened up down the road, and I noticed that I lost about 15% of my business because bottles opened up.
And more big retailers could be creeping in because of a new change. Yesterday, the South Carolina Supreme Court overturned a law that limited alcohol distributors from having more than 3 locations in South Carolina. And while this may be good for your selection, it could be bad for local business. The case was brought by Total Wine after they were rejected from opening up their 4th location in Aiken. Total Wine's attorney Dwight Drake argued liquor licenses are no different than business licenses.
This has to do only with the ownership. Who can own liquor? And there's no reason to treat liquor any differently than any other commodity other than the effect that it has on us as humans.
Just down the road, Bottles manager Brian McCurry says the decision really doesn't affect them.
We're not the big guy on the block. Despite our appearance, we still fancy ourselves a small business, a locally owned business, and we still relate to our local community because that's what's important.
And as the 3rd location is in the future for Bottles, Brian says they're following the game-winning model.
You know, Frank Martin takes it one game at a time, and we're taking it one store at a time right now, and we're excited about the business climate.
And although Bottles isn't the enemy, Nick knows big stores have the upper hand.
The big retailers have like a better opportunity to capitalize on the new laws.
Although he hates to see his business go, he doesn't knock those who are expanding.
It's America. I mean, you can do what you want to do. It's land of opportunity, so you can't knock anybody down for what they want to do.
The law is set to go into effect in 15 days and could give businesses, big or small, new possibilities.
It gives a chance, it opens new doors, you know, also for new competition, also for you to expand your business as well.
Allison McHugh, Carolina News.
Bottles has not officially announced where their 3rd location will be in South Carolina, but as of now, they say they're sticking to 3 and focusing on their local business model.
A new form of medication might be in the future for South Carolina. We have the latest on the push in the State House for legalizing medical marijuana.
Why do some think this is a matter of life or death? Hear the latest arguments coming up on Carolina News.
The Compassionate Care Act is a bill that would legalize marijuana for medical use in South Carolina. The Senate Medical Affairs Subcommittee
A South Carolina Senate subcommittee listened to supporters and critics of the Compassionate Care Act for the legalization of medical marijuana. The Wednesday night hearing gave people a chance to share their experiences with marijuana. Sally Shindo is a mother of a soldier who she says was a victim of the drug. According to her, her son committed suicide because of his use of medical marijuana.
He left a note saying, "My soul is already dead. Marijuana killed my soul, plus ruined my brain."
But for Jeff Moore, who is the former head of South Carolina Sheriff's Association, his son's use of medical marijuana is what saved him from suicide.
Now, he does not live the life of Riley, but he does live a life. And I'm convinced that if he had stayed in South Carolina another 6 months, I'd have buried him.
Former United States Attorney for South Carolina Bill Nettles spoke in favor of the bill, saying that medical marijuana isn't anything new.
What is being asked of the legislature is not to do anything progressive or like out there or, I mean, this has been done by, 28 states.
Though some members of the Senate committee seemed undecided on the bill, Senator Kevin Johnson was open about his view on the legislation.
In my opinion, the bill that's before us, although it addresses medical marijuana, anybody that wants marijuana will be able to get marijuana.
The Senate subcommittee has not set a date for when they will vote on the bill, but for Moore and others, the bill would be the first step in giving South Carolinians with medical issues a new life. Braley Johnson, Carolina News.
This was the second hearing for the Compassionate Care Act. A similar bill for the legalization of marijuana is also in a House subcommittee.
President Donald Trump launched a commission Wednesday to tackle America's growing opioid epidemic and signed an executive order to set up the initiative. The commission would take on prevention, giving particular attention to addiction recovery and improving access to treatment. Many say this is helping Trump's campaign promises to help beat drug addiction in America.
And we want to help those who have become so badly addicted. Drug abuse has become a crippling problem throughout the United States. Drug overdoses are now the leading cause of accidental death in our country.
More than 33 people died from opioids in 2015, according to the CDC.
The use of heroin has increased all over the country, and with this increase has come several overdoses and deaths. Officials say last year, Spartanburg County alone had nearly 70 deaths due to overdoses. Kelsey Barnett went in depth to find out how this drug has impacted people's lives. Warning, there is some graphic video.
Heroin is a highly addictive drug that has become increasingly popular over the years. It affects the central nervous system and creates a very powerful high. Rehabilitated user Stas Novinsky says his gateway to the potent drug was quick. As a senior in high school, he started smoking marijuana, and by Novinsky's freshman year of college, he was introduced to cocaine and heroin.
And it seems that the younger generation almost doesn't have a fear of consequences, which is really, a part of youth, is like they feel invincible and stuff like that, but they're not invincible, and the drugs take hold of them way faster than they ever could imagine.
Coroner Rusty Clevenger says addiction has no certain look. This drug has affected people of all ages and all ethnicities.
I've had ministers, counselors from every age group and ethnic background, be found dead with an introduction of heroin and or the mixture of fentanyl and heroin. A lot of people are using it more recreationally now.
Spartanburg resident Ben Barnett recently lost a friend, Hunter Geis, to a heroin overdose. Barnett and Geis had played tennis together in high school, and Barnett never suspected Geis was involved with drugs.
He was very positive, very happy, and probably one of the funniest people I've ever been around. And that, to me was just kind of shocking that, someone that could make everyone else so happy was in so much pain. And so for me, it was a shock, to find out that he was using, and ultimately that was the cause of his death.
Novinsky says addiction is cunning and tricky. Addicts will risk anything to reach the high that they desire, even if it means risking their life.
And the way that someone who's addicted's mind works is when they hear that their friend overdosed, even though they may have died or ended up in the hospital, their thought is, oh, I need to find out where they got that heroin and I want some of it, which really shows how sick their thinking is.
Recovery from such a potent drug takes time. You have to trade instant gratification for delayed gratification. It is not easy, but it is worth it, according to Novinsky.
The delayed gratification is much more rewarding and doesn't fade in 20 minutes to an hour. I would say that you can get your whole life back, plus things that you never dreamed of. And I would say that I'm so glad I don't spend, $1,000 a day on drugs anymore, because that's pretty expensive.
This deadly drug is not only expensive, but every time you do heroin, you are taking your life in your own hands. Kelsey Barnett, Carolina News.
Heroin addiction is very serious but not impossible to beat. There are treatment centers all over the country to help people in need, and addiction centers right here in South Carolina. If you or someone you know is in need of help, get online and go to crossroadstreatmentcenters.com. It may be downpour out there, but how long will this rain be here?
For more on today's weather, we hand it over to Eric, who's in the Weather Center with the latest. What's it looking like on the radar, Eric?
Well, these storms are moving across South Carolina right now, as you can see, and they're moving pretty rapidly. Coming up next, I'll have your complete forecast and when you can expect the rain to fall.
An overnight severe storm in Texas caused major damage in the Dallas area yesterday. Bricks destroyed cars and strong winds as fast as 90 miles per hour in some areas blew over trees. There were also several tornado warnings because of the storms. No injuries have been reported, but at least 250,000 people lost power.
Well, storms have been pounding Texas lately, but we may have some rains headed our way, right, Eric?
Well, they're headed our way, and they are here right now. Just coming in here, it is pouring outside right now, like we were talking about earlier. But let's talk about currently in Columbia. It is 76 degrees outside right now with heavy showers. Humidity is at about 61%. Winds are south-southeast at 11 miles per hour. We can expect those to pick up into the evening. Taking a look around the state. 65 in the upstate, 67 in Rock Hill, all along the coast, a little bit cooler, 69, 72, and 75. Taking a look around the country, you can see we have this heavy weather maker going on right here. It is pushing south and it is moving very quickly. It'll be in South Carolina. Well, currently it is right now, but even more is to come over the night and into the morning. And as you can see, like taking a look at tomorrow, it'll be all along the coast and parts up into the north, even in parts of Ohio and Illinois. It's taken over everywhere. Now, we don't have a severe thunderstorm yet, but that could happen overnight with these storms. Now, with these storms blowing out, we have a high over in the west that's taken over. That's going to be bringing in some nice sunshine this weekend. Temperatures will raise up a little bit, but look out. We have another weather maker coming across this way, bringing it into our work week, and so we'll have rain back here soon. Again, that thunderstorm watch we're taking a look at. See, Columbia's down here. We're going to miss that severe thunderstorm watch, but we are on a watch, so watch out for that. Most of it will hit in the North Carolina and Virginia area. Tonight's lows, 64 here in the Midlands, 60 and 61 in the upstate and all along the coast. A little cooler, 64 Myrtle Beach, 66 Charleston, and 65 in Hilton Head. And then tomorrow those highs are going to be a little warmer than today, 80 in Columbia, mid-70s in the upstate, and along the coast, relatively the same, mid-70s as well. Take a look at that 5-day forecast. We have morning showers tomorrow, but those will give way to sun in the afternoon, setting us up for a beautiful weekend. And then, like I said, 30% chance of showers coming into the work week. So if you're going out, make sure you have an umbrella, a jacket, and make sure you have your rain boots on too, because it could flood. So watch out
I hope
for that.
it doesn't flood. I really don't.
Well, the women's basketball team is in Dallas for the Final Four. We'll have that preview for you coming up next.
Well, Danielle, it looks like we have an action-packed weekend ahead of us.
That's right. If you're a Gamecock fan, you probably will not be moving too far away from your TV set this weekend. First up on the calendar this weekend, Dawn Staley and her flock is in the Final Four for the second time in 3 seasons. South Carolina will take on Stanford tomorrow in the semifinals at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. The Cardinals have won all 5 games of the all-time series against the Gamecocks, with the most recent during the 2012-2013 season. There's a little bit of familiarity between the coaches beyond the losses. Stanford's Tara Vanderveer coached Dawn Staley in the 1996 Olympics. Tip-off is at 7:30 and the contest will air on ESPN2. Let the All-American accolades pile up for Asia Wilson. The junior forward was named to the U.S. Basketball Writers Association All-American Team Wednesday. This marks the second straight season Wilson has earned a spot on the top 10 player list. Wilson has already earned AP Sports Illustrated and ESPNW honors this season. Over 1,000 miles to the west, the men's basketball team arrived in Phoenix, Arizona yesterday. The Gamecocks punched their ticket to the 2017 Final Four this past Sunday when they beat the Florida Gators 77-70. Saturday, the Gamecocks will take on the Gonzaga Bulldogs in the semifinals at the University of Phoenix Stadium. Tip-off is at 6:09 p.m. SEC Network and its crew is coming to Columbia. The Paul Feinbaum Show and SEC Now will air live from Carolina Ale House tomorrow, beginning at 3 p.m. through Saturday evening. The network is here to capture the atmosphere of South Carolina fans while both the men's and women's teams play in the Final Four this weekend. The crew will also be covering the Garnet and Black spring game. Moving on to the football team, the South Carolina Gamecocks will be wrapping up its spring drills with its spring game Saturday. The annual Garnet and Black spring game will be at noon to accommodate Gamecocks fans who wish to watch both the spring game and the basketball team in the Final Four. Admission is free and gates will open at 10:30 a.m. After routing Furman 8-0 Tuesday, the softball team will be hosting a 3-game series against Texas A&M. In conjunction with Texas A&M, the SEC, and ESPN, game times for this weekend series will accommodate fans who want to support the 2 Final Four basketball teams. The series opener now starts at 2 p.m. on SEC Network Saturday. Sunday's game is now at 5 p.m. and Monday's is now at 7 p.m. Now watch this. Professional golfer Ming-Ju Kim made an appearance on SportsCenter Top 10 yesterday for incorporating her golfing skills in the bowling game. Using a driver, she hit the ball on a tee to knock down the pin. That's definitely another way to get a spare.
That's really interesting. I've never seen anything like that before.
Definitely can't do that. And while I'm looking forward to this weekend, I gotta be a little scared for today. Coming up next on Carolina News, we have the latest weather conditions. I did not. Because I was looking this way, so I didn't see.
Oh, I bet you did.
Well, the weather has been pouring down and unpredictable. Eric, what can we look forward to?
Well, we can look forward to more of exactly that. Into this evening, we've got much more rain coming and into tomorrow morning. Like I said, 80% chance of morning showers on Friday. And then that will break away actually by the afternoon and the sun's going to come out in full effect. Then bringing us into a beautiful weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Beautiful sunny, low 80s. And then the clouds are going to roll back in on Monday and Tuesday, bringing us showers to start off that work week. So keep those rain jackets and umbrellas handy.
Well, I cannot wait for this weekend, right?
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for being with us.
See you tomorrow. Have a good evening.